Hey guys, it's Niftoidlicious back for another Guild War with Black Lotus. Here's the deck I'll be using today. It's been about a month since my last video. As you can see, a lot has changed, including most importantly that I got my Mythic, which is as great as it seems. If you don't have one, make sure to get it as soon as possible because Atlas is amazing. Here we are at the end of the Elemental Battleground effect with the frogs still going on for another month. So as you see, lots of elementals and frogs in my deck. We're just about at the end of the war. There are two more battles before the end. Black Lotus is currently hanging on to a top 10 spot. We're fighting against Extended Family this time, and we got a nice early lead here, so we'll see if we can continue this and end up fighting for maybe top 5, the last war of the event. I'm going to go through my 10 battles, and we'll see how we do. Atlas first is always amazing. It's really hard to lose when you get him going right at the beginning because he buffs your whole team and heals your whole team. It's pretty much as simple as that. Don't really need any more explanation. As you'll see next turn here when he activates, it's just going to help to mow down the line of my opponent's cards, and none of mine are going to die. The other thing about war is you get bonus points for, or excuse me, you get full points only for having very little health lost on your cards. So it usually doesn't come down to it, but if it somehow is close at the end, you know, you'd rather find a way to preserve the health on your cards while winning if you can. This battle, it didn't really matter because Atlas is just that good. If you can somehow find a way to start with Atlas every time, you probably win, you know, more than 90% of your battles. Alright, so we got a tough one here. Raptor, it's not a quad, but we're still talking about getting up to 12 attack times 2 plus 1 from Grok, so 13. So it's going to kill anything I play if both the procs of power go on the Raptor. What I think I'm going to do is make it so that if it doesn't both go on there, I can't even do that with the chaos times because its health is too low. Alright, I'll just do a little vengeance damage, I guess, while my guy's getting his butt kicked. So, looks like the Fallen Angel is going to survive for one more turn so it can die next turn, which is alright. Obviously, I'm not going to get a perfect score this time. Raptor not allow for such things, but thankfully to the poison here, I'm actually going to get a trade out of that, which I can't really complain there. This one now, I'm just going to focus on getting the win instead of trying to maximize my health, since this deck has a bit tougher cards and I don't have my Atlas. Oh, never mind. There he is. So I anticipate both of these are going to end up dying, but then once Atlas does activate, that'll be that for my opponent. The Pumpkin I got here, it's one of the very few pay cards I've been able to collect over my time playing Spellstone, but it's a pretty nice tank to have early in the game. So many games are decided in the first few turns. You know, if your opponent plays a Raptor or something like that that just does a ton of damage at the beginning, it's nice to have something that, because of my health rune, has 27 HP, so it's usually not going to die before it activates. And then not only does it, you know, deal whatever 8 damage when it hits, it done between the Scorch and the Poison does 10 more the turn after that, whether it hits or gets frozen or is dead or anything else. So with a card like that, you're almost always at least going to get a trade, which is pretty much exactly what you want out of your early drops to help you at least maintain parity in the early stages of the battle. Once you get ahead like this, it really doesn't matter what you play. You know, obviously your opponent can't do anything to catch up. So at that point, I just try and play heals. But in the very beginning there, it's so important not to fall behind, especially against top tier decks, because once you do, it's game over. So lost a few points there, but was able to still earn the victory. Towers make Freeze's first drop a lot less desirable than normal. Otherwise, starting with the Freeze, especially in the Frog BG, would be okay. But I don't actually mind Chaos too much as a one drop because it gets that bolt out there. It can maybe hit some of these other cards, and the fact that it has Siphon along with the Elemental BGE means it can gain 5 health per turn. So it's actually a little bit stickier than you might expect out of a one delay card. My opponent has a free to play deck here, which means once Atlas activates, that's probably going to be Curtains. This is another free to play card. You can see it's only dual, but the Elemental BGE along with the Siphon rune makes this Dryad really hard to kill. I don't know that I'm going to keep it in my deck next week once it stops getting that +3 attack, because then the Siphon's not going to activate for the full 7 as often. But for right now, it's pretty much exactly what you want. Another early game way to make sure you don't fall behind before your big stuff like Atlas gets online. As you can see, my 3 Siphon cards here are all still alive, despite taking hits several turns in a row. And that just makes it, so much easier to win the longer game when you don't have to worry about coming from behind. This is kind of a snowballing game where when you get an advantage, it's easier and easier to get an even bigger advantage. So it looks like we're going to come across with another victory here as Atlas has activated and his Wrath is mythic. I like Bullfrog over Angel here. The BGE makes you get like an extra bonus bolt basically out of the deal, which is enough to sway me. Now, normally I wouldn't put Tsunamori here, but because I have a bolt incoming, if I have 2 invisible guys, I'm guaranteed to block it. It kind of saves me 6 damage, which I'm definitely a fan of. Now I can go back to my Angel Firebomb Spirit combo, which, as you might guess, does a ton of damage when it activates. I think that's what I'm going to go for next year. And then I'll follow up with a couple freezes just to make sure my opponent can't get any traction in the game once I start to take control. He's got 1 invisible guy, so this Sage of Crows, hopefully I just won't target it much, because obviously it's going to block 3 skills. So, well, I actually already targeted 3 skills. That's the great thing about Orgoth. It really does a number on decks that rely on invisibility, because between the Hexall and the Weaken, and then naturally you're going to want to play a lot of Bolt and Freeze to go along with it, it just eats up that invisibility so fast and makes it much less viable as a strategy. As you see here now, my opponent's got nothing left, and I've got a huge line of guys. I haven't lost any. So hopefully this will be, and it looks like it will be, another perfect score. That Tsunamori's there healing up anybody that looks fatigued at all, making sure they don't get too tired. And we'll have one more round here. So the Guild Wars is a pretty long event. 5 days is the longest event that they have here in Spellstone, but it's also the most fun. You get to strategize with your full guild, and it's the best chance to test your power against other groups that you may have a harder time seeing in other events or during bounties, etc. I almost wish I hadn't killed the tower there, because then that Fallen Angel would have bumped into my Joral twice, which would have almost killed it. But my Duskflame is going to bite the dust as a result. But we're going to take control pretty quick after that. These guys have some decent decks, but they're just a little bit more free to play than what a lot of the Black Lotus decks have, so it shouldn't be too bad. I've kind of got a mix. I mostly had just had the free to play cards. I've had Shardbot and such for a while, so I've been able to luckily collect at least, a few cards from boxes or chance packs here and there. Unfortunately, I probably wasn't completely efficient with how I did, but I got my Atlas, so all's well that ends well. I don't think I'm going to quite get a perfect score this time. It's going to be a little bit too much damage on my stuff, and losing that Dusk Flame didn't help, but another win under the belt, which you can never complain about. $129. Alright, halfway there. Alright, here I have both of my good tanks to start. I'm going to play the Pumpkin first because it activates first. It can get rid of this tower, whereas the Jorl will just let it sit there forever. With this kind of start, it's really tough for my opponent to really get any traction on me because I got 3 Vengeance cards here, and these first 2 have really high health. So it's going to be a pretty big uphill battle for them to be able to cause any lasting damage. And once the Jorl activates, it's just going to be kind of like a moat. Or not a moat. I don't know what I'm saying. The Abyss, I guess I should say. To kill 1 card every turn for the rest of the game. Because I think it's pretty unlikely they're going to get to deal 30 damage to it. That was a pretty good turn for my opponent, actually. Tsunamari coming just in time here to heal me up a little bit. I've been heavily poisoned. My opponent had a lot of frogs in their draw, which, I mean, it's not going to end up being enough, but they definitely stole some points from me here with all that poison. Poison's not the strongest ability, but in a format like War where every point can count, it's kind of obnoxious that it can steal 1 or 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 here and there that prevent you from getting those perfect 130s. So we'll see what I get on this one. Anyone that maybe is new to Hearthstone, doesn't understand all the details specifically, I'm not really explaining all the details on this video like I have maybe in some past ones. But if there's any questions, anything you want to know, anything that interests you, feel free to ask, comment, however you want to do it. I would enjoy that opportunity. I'm still pretty new at this, as should be obvious to see. But Spellstone's a fun game. Black Lotus has a great community, and I've enjoyed my time there. And hopefully this war ends pretty well. So this is another similar kind of deck as the last few. I'm going to lose 1 or 2 cards here just to poison again, it looks like. But no danger of dropping a game. The Spellstone metagame was a little bit stagnant the last couple weeks, but there's just been a lot of new content released, a new mythic, and also some upgrades for heroes. So I'm interested to see how those end up going. Hopefully we'll spawn some new deck ideas, some new combinations of cards, especially the people that are mostly free to play. There's sometimes it can feel like pretty limited options. You can't control what legends you drop. This guy has a couple dual legends, it looks like, but that's not very easy to come by. So any hero that maybe allows a different strategy or a different combination of cards to become relevant is very much welcome to me. So hopefully that's what occurs. I have another situation here where I'm getting poisoned out a little bit. I think I try not to skip just in case anyone's interested in how this plays out, but at this point you can't even see what my cards are with all the poison. I'm trying to poison it back a little bit, but it's just going to be a few turns here to get this one finished off. Now I believe have 2 matches left. This is going to be another one where I don't quite make the 130, but this has been a good set overall. All right, I think I'm going to start with the Pump King, even though it's not going to take any attack right off. I'd like to get it activated, take down that tower. Since I've got some freeze here, I can really slow down the activation of my opponent's cards. I got the good hit that time. I was able to freeze the right card, if you will. And I can get a heal guy out here to hopefully preserve some health. And my opponent might not have anything much that gets to activate here. I've got pretty shut down type of draw. Alright, never mind. The rhythm gets to activate, but it's only a duel, so it's not going to get to deal much in the way of damage. The state of the guild strength is very top heavy in Spellstone, especially right now. You've got Dire Tide, which has won every guild war as far as I'm aware, every one that I can remember. And then you've got Black Dragon, which is part formerly Black Lotus players and another guild that I can't recall right now that formed together. They're kind of number 2, and then there's a lot of, not a lot, but there's a few entrants for number 3. Black Lotus is kind of in the number 3 battle, but to be honest, there's a couple like Bipolar Bears that we're a little bit behind right now. They beat us out the last event. So we're kind of retooling a little bit at the moment. And hopefully better days are ahead. We'll see how this the last battle ends up going. It's going to come down to that to see who gets third, I think. This last battle is kind of more of the same. Got some, a lot of quad epics. This is where you want to be if you're a free-to-play player. But unless you've got Atlas going, you can't really compete with someone that does have it. So next turn, once mine activates, that's going to be that. I feel bad. My last video, I think I had a lot more strategic advice, whereas this one, it's mostly just, well, Atlas is good, so I win. And obviously, it's I'm not going to say don't get Atlas or don't play Atlas, because he's fun to play with. I mean, it's nice to have that invincible feeling, but it does cut down on the thought process, the options, because you know that at a certain point, like when I got here, there's really nothing I could do to screw it up. This is one of those games where once you get to a winning enough position, there's really nothing your opponent can do, which I guess maybe is attractive to some people and not to others. Alright, so we were able to get 10 out of 10 there. It takes a few minutes usually to refresh, so we won't get to see what my exact score was for another few minutes. But I think it was like 1292, something like that. So as you can see, I'm not even in the top 5 of the guild this one. We had a pretty good round so far. So stay tuned to see how things finish up. I don't know if I'm going to get to make a video on the last war because I'll be at work tomorrow morning while it's going on, but stay tuned to this channel for more Spellstone videos. Thanks for watching.